Welcome back to Student Pages Spotlight series. I'm your host Izzy, and today I'm joined by the incredible entrepreneur Theo Paphitis. Thank you so much for joining us today, and how are you doing?
Izzy, I'm doing well and pleased to be here with you.
Absolutely pleased to have you here. So I'll get straight into it. You have an incredible entrepreneurial background and are often known for your appearances on Dragon's Den or the Theo Paphitis retail group, which includes brands such as Ryman and Boux Avenue, and that is just to name a few. So I have to know what prompted your interest in taking on an entrepreneurial career path.
Well, I didn't have a choice because I'm dyslexic. Listen, many people often ask me the question, why are so many entrepreneurs dyslexic?
Mm.
And there's a really, really, really easy answer to that because nobody else would employ them. So they have to go out there and do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being dyslexic, you do have a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it in so many different people with the same issue. And we are able to problem solve. Now, dyslexia comes in many, many forms and guises. It's not one size fits all, by the way. But we do have a skill set. And with a bit of drive and a bit of ambition, you can turn that skill set and that talent to good use. And it fits in beautifully with being an entrepreneur, entrepreneurialism, running your own business, solving problems, and being creative.
100%.
So that's why I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't choose to be, but at 16, the school shook my hand and said, "Thank you very much. Our work is done. Yes, you've got one Scottish certificate in colouring and maps. So enjoy that certificate, but off you get. The academic world is not for you."
And I find that really interesting because my granddad as well, he was dyslexic and he went down that entrepreneurial path as well and had his own business. And I've never kind of considered it from that point of view that there wasn't many other options. So I find that really interesting. But as an entrepreneur who has built an absolute wealth of experiences working in the retail market, what were some of your most challenging aspects of learning about economics and financial literacy and applying that to your skill set?
Most finance is common sense. Now, getting back to dyslexic people, they've got common sense in the bucket load because during your growing up period, you do have to work slightly differently to everybody else, find workarounds, and use common sense in so many different ways. And common sense is not common.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a trait that I see in so many entrepreneurs. And learning about finance in its broadest form is common sense. With just a little bit of information, you can join the dots and work things through. In today's world, it's a piece of cake because in today's world, you've got AI, which is stunning. And there's so much information out there that you can actually tap into now that as long as you've got that inquisitive mind and want to learn, if you want to learn about a set of accounts, if you want to learn about cash flow, all the help you need is either on YouTube or in one of the large language models, AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, whichever one you prefer to use. So the information is out there, and the key thing is to be inquisitive.
100%. And so is that, well, my next question was going to be, what kind of advice would you have given yourself when you were starting out in your financial education journey? But for advice to young people now, that would be it in a sense, I suppose, because this is the world we live in.
That's the world we live in today. In my world, in black and white, it was slightly different because in my world, ye old calculator had only just been invented. And I'd left school. And I left school, there wasn't calculator. There was no such thing as a calculator. We had a thing called a slide rule. Long story, look it up if you don't know what slide rule was. And algorithms. So, there wasn't a calculator. There wasn't electronics. You learned, and numbers was a strong point of mine. It's about the only thing I was actually quite good at. Numbers. Basic numbers. Not serious algorithms and things like that, because I couldn't deal with those. But straightforward numbers, I was there. So for me, there was no calculators, there was no computers, right? There wasn't such thing as a computer. There was computers, but not for the general public to enjoy. Probably NASA had a computer of some form to get to get the spacemen and the astronauts to the moon. But even then, if we look at the computing power that was used to get the original astronauts onto the moon, it's similar to one of these musical cards that you buy now and dispose of. It's just an amazing progression we've had. So for me, it really was about being inquisitive, adding things up, trying to work out how do these numbers come about? What's the constituent parts of this answer? Which things went into this potential number? And working those backwards. And it was fun. I actually enjoyed it. So I was pretty well self-taught from that perspective. There wasn't anywhere other than to go to accounting school or whatever, but that wasn't my gig.
Well, because as we've already touched on now, the resources that we have in this day and age are expansive. But are there any particular resources that you would recommend to students to improve financial literacy? Maybe anything aside from ChatGPT?
I've just given you the best two. And reading. Pull out people's accounts. Have a read. Try and put together what numbers make up the whole and why they're in that place. What are creditors? What are debtors? Who do you owe money to and who owes money to you? And these are simple things. But as I started off saying, it's common sense. It's all common sense.
100%. And so I just want to mention, I had the absolute pleasure of attending the SBS event this year, and it was such an incredible experience with a wealth of inspirational speakers and entrepreneurs. I had a phenomenal day. But with that being said, could you share with us what inspired you to set up SBS and how an aspiring student entrepreneur might be able to get involved?
God, you're making me feel so old. We're going back in time now, because we're going back to those dark, dismal days of no calculators, no computers, when as a young man, I'm out there trying to do it for myself and trying to find business, make contacts, and to acquire customers. It was really, really tough, expensive, tough, and difficult. And I remember on a Sunday night, I'd help Mrs. P bath the kids, put them to bed, and she would get on with all the washing and all the rubbish that we created during the day, mostly me, not the kids. And I didn't have a study. I had a corner of the living room where I had a very small desk, and I would go and sit there, and I had a book, and I would spend the next 2 hours planning on a Sunday night what I was going to do the rest of the week. So on a Monday morning, I would hit the ground running. Who I was going to contact, what I was going to be doing, what my plans were, what my KPIs for success were going to be for that week, what my challenges were going to be, what my targets were going to be. So that was Sunday evening for me, always was, for a couple of hours, planning what I'm going to do. And it only when Twitter came out, and I very quickly acquired quite a few followers. And I thought, this is amazing. And I'm in the kitchen on a Sunday night, telling Mrs. P, who was not listening to me, that I can contact, I've got this 50,000 as it was. It was in the first week of Twitter that I joined Twitter. I said, I can contact 50,000 people just from my phone. Look, paid no notice whatsoever. I said, imagine what it would have been like as a small business now that you can reach out and contact 50,000 people. And then I realized that a lot of small businesses didn't have 50,000 contacts on their Twitter account. And that was I had, because that week I'd been on Dragon's Den. So I said, wouldn't it be great if people just sent me, half a dozen people sent me their businesses, and I could retweet them again to all my followers and join them together. And maybe they can do business together. So I sent a tweet out, said first, 6 people I like the sound of that tweet me, I will retweet to my 50,000 followers as it was then. And I got like hundreds of replies. And then I spent 2 hours trying to find the best 6, which I retweeted. And then the following Sunday, if by magic, people started again because they thought it was a regular thing. And my followers went up to 100,000, 200,000. And then I realized this is a great medium for businesses to network and to prosper out there and prospect for new business and contacts. And I saw myself having the ability to be the enabler for all these small businesses. And it reminded me so much of my Sunday evenings. And that's how it started. Now we've got a network of 4,500 people. We've been going 15 years, 4,500 businesses, right? Not people, 4,500 businesses. We've been going for 15 years. And we do boot camps up and down the country, along with our partners out west. And of course, we have the big event in Birmingham at the ICC once a year, where we get some great speakers on, and we're able to share fantastic advice for these businesses. But the most important thing is the ability for those businesses to create micro networks within the overall network and support each other. Because the whole point about SBS is its sustainability and the ability for it to have a life of its own. And that's exactly what it does. So you're having a tough time of it at the moment. There's another small business in a similar sector that you met and you've spoken to who are having a good time. You can talk, you can share. It can be really lonely sometimes being an entrepreneur, especially if you're a one-person band working from your kitchen, your bedroom. It's a side hustle. You're balancing a family life, 3 kids, schools, all the bits and pieces that are going on. And at the same time, you're trying to run a business. So you do need that extra support, that network, and that help.
100%. And I feel like from experiencing this year's SBS event myself in Birmingham, there is such a sense of community, and everyone is just so willing to get to know each other and create connections. And I think that is such a fascinating thing and a really incredible thing that you've been able to build through social media and through these types of things that we've now got access to. But so one of the biggest challenges that you recall first facing was the same one that entrepreneurs have been grappling with since the beginning of time, and that is, what if it all goes wrong? So how do you approach this psychological minefield from an entrepreneurial perspective?
Okay, so the reality is, in business, as in all walks of life, who happens? Agreed?
Agreed. Couldn't agree more.
And it's going to happen to you. Mm-hmm. Not everything is going to work out the way you plan. There's a manner of things that will change the course of your business adventure and your plans. The great thing is to be able to recognize that, embrace it, pivot, and learn from it. Now, if I took my shirt off right now and turn my back to you, you will see on my back loads of scars, business scars, right? That I carry around with me. Because all through my career, these things have happened. And you try clearly for them not to happen. But when they happen, you've got to be honest. You've got to be realistic. You've got to address them. You can't bury your head in the sand. And then you try and make sure that they never happen again. But that's experience. And that's really important. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, if you go and bet the farm on something and it goes wrong and you lose everything, you can't come back from that. It's very, very difficult. So it's important that you don't bet the farm because things will go wrong, that you make calculated decisions, can't take calculated risks, and understand the downside of your risks. Because however brilliant you are, however great an opportunity you've got, however fabulous business plan that you have, the reality is it's not always going to go according to plan.
100%. And I feel like you have obviously seen so many businesses throughout your experience, as you've even just said, even through Twitter, just being able to have hundreds and hundreds of businesses and ideas sent to you each week. And so, what would you say is the most common financial mistake that you see people making, and how could this mistake be avoided?
Right? It's that simple. People don't do their homework. Now, if you don't do your homework, there's going to be somebody else out there who has done their homework, and they're going to be better than you, and they're going to take your lunch, and they're going to stop you being successful because they're going to be successful. It's important that you do your homework. You're honest with yourself about the opportunity, that you plan for things not to go 100% according to plan, right? You build in contingency in your planning. You make sure that the cash that you have, your cash flow, allows for slippage in sales, slippage in time. And those are all the things that you build in into your back pocket, as I call it, for when things don't go according to plan. And that's key. And that allows you flexibility in growing your business when everything doesn't have to go right first time. And you can learn those, might be painful lessons, but you know what? The great lessons are going to help you later on.
100%. And you've already given some incredible advice, which I'm sure people are going to value so much. But my final question for you, which I'm sure the people watching will be dying to know, is how can students best learn to improve their understanding of the pitfalls and the challenges that come with running a startup in order to reduce or avoid financial hardship?
I think I'll refer you back to the last answer I gave you. I mean, it sounds basic. Listen, the amount of times people say to me, "Oh, Mr. Paphitis, where does the BBC find all those idiots that come on the show asking for money and don't know their numbers?"
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done the work, right? They haven't done the homework. And it's key. It doesn't sound exciting. It's not sexy. We hated homework at school. You need to know more about your industry, your business, your category than anyone else. You can't have too much information. You've really got to be curious and do as much as possible. There's no easy route. The easy route now is you've got lots of technology that helps you do it a lot quicker. And the information you need is out there. It's easy to get hold of on the internet, AI, lots of information. It's not like the old days you have to go to the library, look at an encyclopedia. Live, good information is out there.
So cross the I's and dot the T's. Make sure everything is pristine.
Absolutely.
100%. Well, that is all the questions I've got today, but thank you so much for joining us. I know personally I've taken a lot from this conversation, and I'm sure so many people will also, because you really shared some great advice. So it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you to everyone else who tuned in, and I'll see you all next time.